Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gode Bola from Democratic Republic of the Congo, and I'm happy to be part of the people of participating in the workshop. And I will be presenting on the application of open access data on flood risk assessment in the Congo Basin. But first of all, I will be trying to introduce how we come up with doing the risk assessment in the Congo Basin. And we'll be talking about the conclusion in future way. And from our knowledge,
Can you speak a little louder? People online can't hear someone.
and we know that one of the big watershed in the world is Amazon, and the second one is the Congo Basin. And if we can see from the literature, most of the study we are working on is mostly about Amazon. And if we can see even regionally, Asia and America and other regions have so many literature on flood issues. But regarding the sub-Saharan Africa, where the Congo Basin is located, we don't have information. And as I was saying regarding the watersheds, the Amazon, as you came from the literature, the Congo Basin, we have 33 literature, and from the Amazon, we have almost 200. It means that the Congo Basin is not studied. From that gap of information, and the DFID from UK funded the project, I think it was 2016, not 2017, funded the project to carry research in the Congo Basin. That was a large research. And from that research, we have four students. It was Kabuya, who was working on the simulation of the water in the Congo Basin, dealing mostly with the connection of floodplain and the river. We have also Andika with us. He worked on the multi-threaded Congo River channel. We have Catherine, she was working on sediment transport. Myself, I was working on the characterization of flood. Why we try to focus on flood? In 2020, we realized it was really a big issue in the Congo Basin in terms of flood. And from the literature, we try to link the flood and poverty. We show that within the sub-Saharan Africa, mostly in the Congo Basin, that is the Congo Basin, I will show the map. Within the Congo, most of the countries are affected in the Congo, in the flood in sub-Saharan Africa, they were in the Congo Basin. And for instance, you can see the 2020 flood. This is the Republic of Central Africa in Bangui, the capital of Republic of Central Africa. This is Cameroon. This is the Congo, where I'm coming from. Yes, we have flood. Flood is not only about risk. Flood is about also nutrient from the floodplain. And people are living with this floodplain. It's why we decide, we say, okay, we can work on risk. Maybe before we work on the risk, we should know which kind of flood, which type of seasonality of flood we should have in the Congo Basin. At least we have difficulty of having data, but we try to manage to have a few stations on which we worked on. The idea was, okay, we have flood, but we first starting to assess the seasonality of flood and to determine the variability of this flood in the Congo Basin. We established a framework of flood frequency analysis and risk analysis. I will be talking mostly, just I will give some result of the flood characterization, but I will be talking mostly about the risk. And the last one, we try to see, we did some scenario analysis about regarding climate change. For the characterization of flood, we tried the first time to work on seasonality and variability of the flood. Using those approach, we have a BOT approach, the relative flood frequency. We had also the directional statistics, the block estimator, level test, and the cluster analysis. As you can see, the map, the Congo Basin is encompass 9 countries. And this is the different station where we use our ground data to do those analysis. And those type of data we use, it was the POT series, flood frequency, and annual flood flow. From our seasonality analysis, what we find is that we found the mean day of flood and the variability of flood. And from the result, we found that most of the station, we have a strong seasonality in the Congo River. From 6 stations, we have a strong seasonality. Only 1 station, this is the Lualaba station, which is located somewhere here. It's located here. Is weak seasonality. Regarding the variability, we took a decade variability of the station, and we found that is like a cycle. But using the Central Africa station, yes, we have this variability. Central Africa station and the Luapula station, we found that this variability is downward. You see that the last 2 decades, we are going down, and for Bangui also, but other stations, we still have those cycles. Come up with flood frequency, what we did to know how frequent we could have flood within the Congo Basin. And we use those descriptive statistics, and we do the probability distribution. We have Gumball, we have a general extreme value, we have log percent 3, and we use only the peak over threshold time series. And from our result, I'm giving only 2 stations. This is the Kinshasa station, and this is the Bangui station. And you will see that we have our 2019 flood. It was almost 74,000 cubic meter in the Kinshasa station. This was the 50-year return period flood. And from Bangui, it was 20-year return flood. Using the climate change impact and the historical trend from the Congo Basin from those different stations, what we find is that from Bangui, which is located somewhere here, most of the characteristic is downward, as I said. We use the maximum flow and the peak over threshold flow. From regarding the impact of climate change, the observation is that most of the impact of climate change is we have more time of flooding in the Congo Basin. It means flood is starting very early and it ends very late. That's what the result we have from impact of flood. Climate change, this is the historical trend of flood within the Congo Basin. This is only just a few stations. This is Bangui station. Regarding the trend of those characteristics, the peak over threshold in Bangui station, it's downward, and Kisangani, we found that there was no trend in the Kisangani. Kinshasa, you find that we have 2. This one is a downward trend, but the second, because we have primary flood season and the secondary flood season. For the secondary flood season, we found that the trend is not there. And we focusing only regarding the flood risk in the Congo Basin using, this is mostly within the GIS platform. The data we use is the population density, 30-meter resolution, and the flood map of 90-meter resolution. We have a building layer point of interest, flood imagery data. The first thing we used it to extract our start area. And you see this is Africa, this is the Congo Basin, and we use it for population density data, and we use also for the flood map data. And the second one, it was to resampling. The resampling is that to try to match our cell size, because we have two cell size. We have population size, which is a 30-meter resolution, and the flood map is 90-meter resolution. And we bring the population resolution to 90-meter resolution. That is the resampling process. The second approach was to convert each pixel of our flood map, each array, from true and false. 0 mean true and false mean 0 means false, sorry, and 1 mean true. False means where there is no flood, and 1 there is a flood. And the second was to multiply flood map with the population map. And the result we got is, it means we have the flood map which affected population. Another approach was to extract, instead of working on sub-basin to extract exposed population, we work on administrative area. And from that, we extract exposed population and we try to aggregate in terms of region. The country. Here we can see those are 9 countries that encompass the Congo Basin. We have Central Africa, we have Cameroon, we have Congo, we have Angola, we have Zambia, Tanzania, and this side we have Burundi and Rwanda. From the result we got the affected population, we try to see which territory is the most affected, and we call it the hotspot territory. And we use this index, we developed the index to classify different territory according to the exposition. And we use the exposed population, building layer, and the point of we used on not only population, affected population, but infrastructure also was used. Our map was validated use the imagery data we took from NASA imagery of flood and the DFO image. And we did the CS score to see if our flood map, the global flood map, was really good to use in our study area. From our result, what we see regarding the validation of the flood map, yeah, it's good that the flood capture almost all the area where it was flooded, but some area like we found like this area in Kwa, which is somewhere here, and the other, I think is 3 or 2 of them, they didn't capture really the flood. The reason for that is mostly in the model. Congo Basin is a multi-channel area, and the model they are working only on 1 channel. That is the difficulty we have. I think that is the problem for the model to capture really the flood area in this place. But overall, the flood worked well in terms of capturing the flooding area. But as I was saying, this is the multi-channel area, and another problem was about the lake. From the imagery, the lake is considered like an open water, but from the model are not connected in the lake with the lake. Within the model are not connected within the lake. That is what one of the problems we have with trying to validate our map. As regard to the exposure, population exposed, what we have is almost, this is a 5-year return period, 10-year return period, 15 years, 75 and 100-year return period. So the total, it's almost within all the Congo basins was around 2.6% of exposed population. Is almost, I think, 2 million of people exposed within the Congo Basin. This is for the Congo, within the Congo Basin. And if you can see from the exposition is the DRC, the Republic of Democratic of Congo is the most exposed with 1 and 5% of exposition. Why? Because the Congo Basin, the DRC is cover almost 65% of the Congo Basin. Especially what we saw is that the exposition, you will see that further north and south, there is no exposition from the flood, as you keep from this map. The reason is that this side of the Congo Basin is from topography issues. This is the Kivu Central, is low-lying area. And most of the water coming from the upstairs and this side, they are concentrated in this area. It's why it's more exposed in flood. But the second parameter of the exposition, beside the topography, is about demographic population. Kinshasa is the main capital here in this part is Kinshasa and Brazzaville, which are the two big capitals within the Congo Basin. Is Kinshasa. This side also we have one big city, which is Kisangani. Those are two factors, is demographic and topographic for flood risk in the Congo Basin. As I showed in the flood, return period flood risk, this is the 2019 flood. This is in Kinshasa, and this is in Bangui. Regard to the infrastructure, we see almost 3.6% of infrastructure in the Congo Basin was exposed. We try to see which kind of infrastructure was exposed. The first one was about place of worship, church, and so on. Why is that? Because actually, and this is maybe a phenomenon in Africa, the people trying to have more church and so on, and they build it even in the floodplain. That's the case. You see that most of the exposed is place of worship and fuel station. This is also another issue because people try to make money and they try to build station everywhere. And the third one is about school. But other stuff, other like hospital and bridge, they are not mostly affected. We try to see absolute and relative risk. And we can see that Kinshasa, regarding the absolute risk in the first, but absolute risk is Kinshasa, but the relative risk is Bomongo, because you see the share of population is almost for 100-year flood is almost 33% of population affected with flood. It means in case where we can assist the population, this is where we can focus more, because it's almost 30% of the population affected. Then Kinshasa is only 1%, but it's true. But this is one of the points we can use when we can work on the relief issue. Regarding the hotspots, we found almost 33 territories, which are hotspots flood risk in the Congo Basin. And as I was saying, this is mostly related to the topography, and besides, and this point is mostly related to demographic of the population within the Congo Basin. And from our work, we've published 3 works regarding what we did. It is regarding the seasonality, and this one is about flood return period we published, and this is regarding the flood risk within the Congo Basin. For the conclusion with that, you found that yes, global data can perform well at a global scale, but at the local scale, it's not to be good, because at local scale mostly is about insurance and so on. But global data can work well, mostly for the NGO. We are working for relief and assistance of affected population. By combining of those data, global data, we can delineate the area with risk within the Congo Basin. And we saw that it was topography and demographic, which was the factor that lead to the vulnerability and the risk within the Congo Basin. This is really an issue within African country, the issue of data, but it's also the opportunity for people to work and produce data. Regarding the population data and infrastructure data, this is very critical issue because yes, we know number of buildings that are affected with water, but is which kind of building are affected and how we can value those buildings. This is the data, population data that doesn't give those information. And about the infrastructure, we should know that this type of infrastructure, the first infrastructure might be building, other one might be maybe let's say school, and number of students we are studying in those. I think those are kind of information we need regarding the population data and infrastructure data. What's regarding the Sunday framework, I think we are trying to work on that in the Congo Basin this side. And the next step, I think, as Tayo was presenting, from the Congo Basin, I think we need to arrive where Tayo to try to focus, because what we did is only try to see characteristic and the risk, but the focusing part, we are not there. And that is what we are mostly working is this disaster and risk, disaster risk knowledge we have. But about the focusing, I think we need more. It's why we try to work with other people. As I said, we have funded by the DFID, and Mark was keen for this project. And we think that next time we'll be having this opportunity to also to work on the forecasting point. I think I can thank you for.